What's up guys, Justin here for S&S Archery, and today's gear video we're going to be taking a look at the Epsilon by Hamskea. There has definitely been a craze, some serious buzz over this new rest. So in this video we're going to go over the rest, show you the ins and outs, things that we liked about it, some of the things we wish were a little bit different, but ultimately help you out in determining if this Epsilon is the right and next rest for you. So diving right into the Epsilon, the biggest buzz and craze about this rest is you have all the technologies of the primer, the Hybrid Hunter Pros, and the Trinity Hunter Pro packed into one rest. So now what you're getting is a much smaller rest than say the Trinity. So comparing them side by side, you can see definitely a lot smaller. This has become the norm for today's technology in their bow builds. We're really trying to emphasize moving everything to center of our bow, eliminating weight hanging off to one side, getting your quiver sucked up as close to your riser as possible. And with the Epsilon, you're definitely able to do this. This is a 3-ball bearing system, just like the Trinity. So you're still getting that solid activation, very consistent launcher motion over and over again, very smooth. Never going to freeze up on you. I love the fact that they still went with a 3-ball bearing system. Taking a look at the rest, the launcher itself has been changed. So unlike the Trinity, kind of a bigger V wedge that was flat, a lot of people were having problems with the launcher actually hitting the inside portion of the riser. Some guys even had to chop off a portion of this wing on the launcher itself. So Hamskea redesigned this. They kind of created a U shape. You have your fins that go in an upward position. So this is definitely helping with your clearance, and ultimately that arrow falls into that center shot every single time when you pull back. So really love the new launcher design. It is coated in some kind of rubbery Teflon material. When I did some initial shooting, it was a little bit noisier. They do provide you with some felt, just like on the Trinity. So I went ahead, put some felt on, made it dead quiet. So just one of those things. You also have the arrow guide. So just like the Trinity, this initial arrow guide is lining you up. So as you pull, your arrow's not going to be dinging on any metal. So that is cool to have as well. So taking a look at the side of the rest, we have the lettering COR. This stands for Centered Shot Optimized Rest. So basically out of the package, this thing is going to be set up ready for you to shoot at that 13/16 off your bow's riser shelf. Really make fine-tuning this, getting you shooting bullets through paper in no time. You still have micro adjustment on the Epsilon, and in fact, you're actually getting micro clicks. So unlike the Trinity, it's just basically going to slowly come over however fast you're going to move that dial. Now you can hear the individual clicks. So just like a bow sight, it's going to move over in those little tiny increments. So fine tuning, definitely a lot easier. The Epsilon is going to come in 2 different versions. We have the Universal, which is this bracket here. So just like on my Hoyt, going with the Universal bracket, it's going to work on your PSEs, your Bowtechs, your Hoyts, your Primes, pretty much any bow. Basically, you're going to still use your burger bolt and the hole on your riser to mount this up. The other version of this rest comes with the Matthews bracket. So it's a very low profile. The actual bracket itself is a lot smaller. Because that burger hole on those new risers is a lot closer to your string, it just suits it perfect. So definitely an option to check out if you're a Matthews bow owner. Taking a look at the activation cord on the Epsilon, this is what's going to control your launcher. You can see here there is no spring system like we had on the Trinity. So they were getting some of these springs were starting to stretch, kind of be inconsistent. So they went back to their original clasp design, but they've integrated in their new rebound dampener. So you're going to see these on the primers. Even some of the new Trinities have this. I've seen recent packages with the rebound dampener. Basically, when your bow's going off, it's taking a lot of that shock and vibration out, so there is no need for the spring. The Epsilon can be used as a limb-driven system or a cable-driven. So like you see here on my bow, this is limb driven down here to the bottom. You can also flip this lever over, run it up to the top limb. So you have two different options, just depending on your quiver that you're running, making sure that cord is out of the way. But here on my bow, works perfect on the bottom limb. With the limb driven, basically with your bow in resting position, that launcher is going to be tied in, pulled down all the way. As you pull back, your limbs creep together and that launcher raises. As you shoot, it drops out of the way and you're still getting good arrow flight right to your target. As far as your cable system, just like all the cable driven rests that we had, basically tied in here. So pretty cool. There's 3 different options, so you can really fine tune it exactly how you want this setup to go. On the bottom of the Epsilon, you're going to see 2 screws. You can loosen and tighten these screws to change the elevation where the launcher itself is going to stop, all the way at the bottom and all the way at the top. So you can really fine tune this to your setup. So as far as mounting the Epsilon, on the back of the rest, you're going to see two little ribs. On the bracket itself, you're going to see 3 holes on top and 3 on the bottom. These are basically our start points. So depending on your bow's thickness of the riser, that's really going to determine how close you can get to center shot. The first thing I did was I put a tape measure on my bow's riser. I put a little dot at that 13/16. Without putting in the 2 screws, I kind of held these in all 3 positions, trying to see where the launcher itself was pretty much in line with my dot. This was going to give me the best start point. And the main idea behind this is, every bow's thickness of riser is different. So they give you 3 start points on this rest. It really holds it in place nice. You do have to mount this up first. So these little screws that's provided in your kit, you have to put these in, mount the bracket, then put it on your bow because you can't get to it. It's on the inside. It worked really good for me, just throwing a tape on there, kind of eyeballing it. It's not perfect. You can go ahead, tighten them up, kind of throw the burger bolt in and see if you're off. Go ahead, move it over a notch until you get it really close. We've been getting quite a few people calling in about the Epsilon, wondering if this rest will mount directly to your bow's Picatinny rail here in the back. And unfortunately, it cannot. Their basically system is way smaller. They do not have a bracket that will work on this bow or any bow that has this. So they are in the works with some kind of bracket, although it may require tapping into your bow's riser, threading some screws. I know here with the Hoyt, it's probably going to be almost impossible because of the risers right in line with that pick rail. So for now, we're basically using that universal or the Matthews setup. When we look at the containment cage of the Epsilon, just like the Trinity, the Hybrid Hunter Pro, it is coated in rubber, so it's going to be very quiet. You still have that slot where you're able to, feed in your arrow through the side. But this system, it is a 2-piece system now. You can actually take off just the top piece or the bottom. You have a simple screw here on the inside for the top, and then here on the back for the bottom. So some cool things about it. It is shaped a little bit different. You can see here on the Trinity, it's kind of straight out. So for some people, they were catching this on things because it's kind of off your shelf of your bow's hand here. So they've kind of cut this V shape, this angle in it to help not catch on sticks. So definitely an upgrade. Ultimately, I think the Epsilon is going to be the new thinking, the new standard in rest technology, slimming everything down, less low profile, getting it to where we can have our quivers right up, our arrows right up next to our riser. Eliminating that torque is huge, but yet still having 3 ball bearings supporting that stainless steel carrier rod. You can't say enough about the technology and advancements that they've done with this new rest. If you guys have any questions about the Epsilon or anything else in the store that we carry, please feel free to give us a call, shoot us an email. We'd be glad to help. And if you guys have found this video to be useful in any way or have liked it, please hit subscribe to follow us along on more hunting gear review videos. And thanks for watching, guys.